Links to my channel here over at SubScribe. So I have the various other links as well. So Tron, Ares, the Clankers, and Wirebacks. So how do you sit around a storyboard where you're proposing the vibe of the movie and what kind of actors to play the characters, and somebody proposes a black female and an Asian woman as leading characters, and nobody who's sitting in that room, nobody has an ounce of common sense and has the basketball line, the South Park guys, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. Or when they surely they must like present some storyboard visuals to a test market. And if you could have like two hot blonde chicks, or like a brunette and a blonde chick as the two lead roles, and how does that connect to one test market? And then you have this a black chick and an Asian woman, and what's the response? Because because there are going to be two different responses. So I saw this movie last night. Absolute dog food. Just every woke cliche on top of each other, and aside from the music and the amazing sets and the CGI or whatever, that was legitimately good. But that's not enough of a reason to watch a movie, and it's definitely not worth paying for. But it made me wonder about the movie that came before it, the 2010 Tron Legacy. So I went online, found it, and watched it, and that was way better because at least that movie all worked together. So I found someone who gave it a positive review. To be fair, that it definitely doesn't. I'm sure this guy's a total bleeding vagina soy boy. So how did we get here to where 9 out of 10 movies are bad movies? It's because if a movie reviewer in the mainstream said that Ares should look more like the original in terms of casting, i.e., white and beautiful, well, they'd just get fired. It'd be the same thing if they said that about Disney Star Wars. It's like, this doesn't look like the 77 to 83 Star Wars. It's the cast should be the original. You set the tone of the story in the original. Or with Lord of the Rings, people always have this argument that diversity opens up your market, and yet it never does in the real world, because the best example is Lord of the Rings, which is coming up on its a quarter anniversary, which was a huge success, and it was almost all European actors. And then you had Rings of Power, the Amazon Diversity Edition, and that has been a massive failure. So like, there's your evidence right before. If you had Rings of Power and you had the money that Amazon did to put $700 million into that show, and if you made it look visually like the original, just all the fairest people of the light, Rings of Power would be a huge success. It would be the next Game of Thrones, the Sex and the City, the Sopranos type of success. Instead, they put in, Afro Hobbits, and nobody's watching it. It's the same with Willow, was a bunch of race swapped. Was a bunch of other. The Witcher, I think they made it diverse too. It's like supposed to be set in like fantasy Poland, so they put like Asians and Africans in Poland for some reason. Anyway, so the diversity is something that pushes the audience away, and having your lead character be a slightly chubby 40-year-old eggless girl boss who can't even get a wire back to have sex with her is not a good strategy, Cotton. Picking a chubby 42-year-old Chinese actor as your lead role is saying that you want to lose money. So, like, is this money laundering on purpose or something? And it doesn't make sense, because the first two movies had the family as the main kind of storyline, the father and son, and this was 15 years after Tron Legacy, so you could just continue it with the grandson going back into that world, or something. So the continuity made sense in the original 82 to 2010 film. And in 2010, they also made the fatal mistake of adding a little bit of non-white diversity that it didn't really make sense in the movie, because the original Tron world is super white. I don't think there's anyone other than fair-skinned people in that movie. So why on earth would you want to change that? You have this nice cozy British type of 70s vibe. There's no need to make that different because now you've made something different. It's not the original Tron. So Tron Ares got rid of all the European actors except when, of course, they needed to make them the bad guys, like the tech CEO who is, of course, stealing from the poor honorable Asians and Indians, which is just an insane upside down world. But it's it's like you go back and watch Harold and Kumar, a fun movie at the time. Go back and watch that movie. Everyone good in the movie is Anon, and everyone bad in the movie is of European origin. I mean, that movie, that was like, I don't know how long the movie came, like 15 years ago. Fun movie, but then when you go back and watch it and you realize, this is not this is just stochastic terrorism. Anyway, so why is there a 40-year-old Asian girl boss in the movie? The audience doesn't value a grandma running around, but she's there to work with her polite, honest, and definitely hygienic other non-white co-stars who absolutely poo in the loo. So let me be clear. All you have to do was use European casting and give the movies the same vibe as the 80s because the audience doesn't value diversity. Hollywood says they do, though they live in all lily white or wealthy Asian gated communities. But we don't. Like, we're just honest about it. And the numbers reflect that. You can go look at the original movies that were whiter than white, and they're much more successful. And it's like, this is so obvious. It's weird, especially after the events of the past 10 years where things have just been coming to a head. Like, different groups just don't like each other. And I mean, people now are looking for separate kind of spaces and stuff, especially after you had 5 years of the summer, starting the summer of Wu Flu love. Anyway, so a female lead character is a hard sell, especially one that is not drop dead gorgeous, because people hate to listen to women talk, and I'm not just being funny with that. Even women don't really like to listen to other women. They just kind of sort of talk at each other. But for males, it's actually painful to have to listen to women talking, and that increases for non-white women. So the higher on the Marxist scale, the more we tune them out. And I realize as I say that might be a little offensive, but it's time to just start being honest about this kind of stuff. So you have Jared Leto, I think, and the chubby Chinese lady, and she's whining about her sister in the movie, I guess, who's, I don't know, better than her or something. And she doesn't mention a husband or children. It's just, she's just a girl boss who's going to turn into an old cat lady because she's already 43 years old. And that was kind of a problem in She-Hulk, where the actress who played She-Hulk was also in her 40s, not married, and didn't have kids, and she's dating the Daredevil or something, and they're meeting the parents, and she's like in her 40s, and it's as if she's 19 and getting married and having kids for the first time. It's like, this is bizarre. This is just the left-hand path of this Disney inverted world. No, Disney is not Disney if you haven't been paying attention. Disney hasn't been Disney in at least 40 years. So the audience hates that, the girl boss type of stuff. Fundamentally, we have different values. A 40-year-old chubby single girl boss holds no value to us whatsoever. It's almost the lowest value combination that you could put on a screen. Then you team her up with an Indian who, oddly enough, doesn't have an Indian accent. He's just kind of super American accent. So why wouldn't you just use a white actor to play the role? Everyone kind of knows what an American should look like. We value white actors, and the original story was sort of like Star Wars because it had that white British vibe. If you want to make a movie about nons, just write some new story. Instead, what they do is this bait and switch where they take old stories that were successful, like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, even Tron somewhat, and they just bait and switch. Even Tron Legacy continued the British vibe much more than Tron Ares. So, how many ways can I say that the sequels to any movie should look and feel like the original? We don't want woke race swapping, even with the forced. And the thing is, we don't have to explain why we don't like it or defend yourself. They're going to call you istophobic. It's like none of those things are real, but those are also deflections from the argument. You go, hey, the consumer here doesn't like this casting. They want a white cast. Okay, well, there's no questions asked about that. There's no argument to it. It's either they make the cast the way you want it, or you just don't support the movie. It's like you can't argue somebody into watching a movie out of some guilt trip. It's like people just don't care anymore. Even with the forced diversity in Legacy, that was light years better than Ares, because the main characters in Legacy were all beautiful, super blonde, the whitest of white actors. More people just need to be honest and say they prefer white actors and don't value diversity or feminism at all, or a lecture in areas about microaggressions where the guy in Ares laughs at some old computer being out of date or something and the clanker gets offended. It's a wireback. It doesn't have feelings. It's not real. At least in the middle movie, they had in Legacy they had an ISO, who I guess is like a creation, and she was hot, which Hollywood seems to have forgotten that sex sells. If you're gonna have clankers and silicon burners, at least make them the sexy pleasure models instead of what we got in Ares. So they made the standard globalist Disney choice of a black woman with a blonde afro and an English accent, and she actually wasn't the problem in the movie exactly. The Chinese woman was, but of course she should have been a real white English woman playing the role, not an imitation, which seems like cultural appropriation. But even she wasn't as annoying as the Chinese lady, because she was ultimately not real. She was an AI, I guess, because the Chinese lady was real and she had no sex appeal whatsoever. She's just a 43-year-old grandma, and there's nothing wrong with that. But this is not the role. This is the role, if you're gonna use a girl, has to be a young hot chick. And really, it doesn't make sense. I mean, this is just what was Terminator, when they switched the focus to female focus, and like nobody gives a shit about it. It's like the audience, female audience, is not into action adventure. They're into romance or romantic comedies, and that's kind of about it. Because women are not men, and reality seems to intrude on their fantasy world. The thing is, if you have that combo of these two non-white women from these different areas of the world, that has zero audience appeal. I mean, it has actually negative audience appeal because it's two diversity hires. This isn't 2015. The audience is done with diversity. There's been like 15 years of woke failing movies. Ghostbusters 2016. Just take a look at the superhero genre. Madam Web, The Marvels, Black Adams, or Black Adam with The Rock. The Rock, every movie The Rock is in seems to lose money, and they keep putting him in these movies. Black Widow with what's her face. Terminator Vagina Edition, Charlie's Angels, which was kind of the ugly bitches edition, Captain Cockroach, which was about like Trump and Mexicans or something, The Eternals with Angelina Jolie, and they're a bunch of Kirby's like superhuman android computer creations. So they're all in the comic book, they're all perfect. It is kind of weird, because in the comic there's like these the Eternals are these blonde-haired, blue-eyed, like ubermensch gods, and then you have the humans, and then you have the demon characters. Interesting symbolism. And the best part about him is he draws like the I don't know, call that like surface debris. Like if you look at the Millennium Falcon, it has a bunch of stuff on it. It's just to give it verisimilitude, to give it like a busy background so it doesn't look too clean. He was a master of drawing like big tech things in the background that, like, as a scientist, you look at this stuff and like half of it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't really matter. Where's I going with that? But so the characters in the Eternal are like not white, not blonde hair, blue eyed. Like Mexican, Middle Eastern, and then there's an obese Asian guy for some reason who's like 50 pounds overweight, and I think he's in some kind of race mix relationship where they bought a catamite, and that's a Disney movie. They like two gay men, mixed race relationship with a male child. That's really, really on the nose, Disney. And then they had one of the girls was was hard of hearing. I mean, the problem with all this is obviously it doesn't honor Kirby's work. Is that they're created creatures? They're like superhumans. Why would you give somebody 50 pounds of lard? And why would you have like two of the women be in their 50s? And then why would you give somebody a hearing defect? Like take away one of her senses? None of that makes sense. But it did. Oh, how well did that movie do? Oh, it didn't do well at all. Then you had what, Suicide Squad Part 2, which I don't even think the first one did well, but that was a little too much girl power for us. Flash was a massive bomb, even though who's the guy, the original 89 Batman, Keaton, Michael Keaton was great in that. He was like the only kind of highlight of that. And then you had Ant-Man Part 3, where there was a lecture from some woke little Antifa girl who's in a San Francisco police station, and she's lecturing like nobody gives a shit about any of this. This is way, way out of date. And there's probably more. I don't even remember them. That's how bad they are. They're in and out of the theaters so damn fast. So I'm kind of behind on a lot of these movies. The audience doesn't care about non-white actors or girl power, and more people just need to come out and say it. Some whiners were bitching and moaning about how white people didn't understand that animation cartoon set in Canada, Red Panda or something. It was like, for some reason it was set like 20 years in the past. That movie, that animation, I think it was about like a coming of age where the girl turns into a panda, and it's a euphemism or analogies or simile or metaphor for puberty or something like that. But then there was like undercurrents of like just childhood sexuality. It's like that seems pretty weird to make an animation about sexualizing kids. It's like kids go through puberty, yes, but it's just not what you make a movie about. And I think that was Disney. The thing is, it's like, okay, that's a bunch of non-white characters in the cartoon. It's not for white people. It was for, I guess, Asians. So why didn't the non-white audience go support that movie? It was a massive failure. It was one of the biggest failures in Disney or Pixar or something. It lost like $300 million. We pretty much openly don't value non-white movies. This isn't a secret. But what's the brown excuse? America's about half non-white now, so there's over 190 million people to support these kind of woke, diverse movies, but they're either not really big movie supporters, which is weird because Hollywood keeps making movies for a brown audience that doesn't pay to see them, and the Tron 3 had the black lady with the dyed afro. And then she had the English accent. And there's a character, the tech bro, is in this movie. And I don't know if it's supposed to be Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or one of those type of characters. But Elon Musk's mom is kind of a public figure as well. But in the movie, the character has a blonde-haired mom. And she's partially in control of the company or something. And so you have the black AI character. It's like, why is she black in the first place? She's an AI. But she's chasing down this blonde lady, and she murders her with her little triangle knifey thing, which in current year is really interesting optics because we just had a blonde Ukrainian woman who was slaughtered on a train. So the visual is pretty uncomfortable to watch. And chasing down Asians is, well, I mean, that's pretty common in America and Canada. It was odd for Disney to put that in the movie, and I guess I'm glad they did because, I mean, by all means, I hope Disney just keeps losing money. And if they make a part 4 to this, which they kind of have to, they'll lose money as well with that. And it's like, you could turn this around. All you have to do is go look at, like, okay, Disney. I get Disney's anti-white. They're anti-natal, they're anti-Christian. I go back and look at Tron Legacy. It had a little bit of diversity in it. Like in the first part where they enter the computer world, you've got these 4 women, and they're all super skinny and super beautiful. And I think there's like 2 black and 2 white, but they are like the top of the food chain, like jawlines and cheekbones, and like super skinny models, which is I'm really into it. They were like the most beautiful women you could find, if I remember right. So that's kind of the extent of diversity in movies, and the way they had it in Legacy, where the main characters were still the fair skinned people of the light, and it was the family. And it's like, the thing is, the Jeff Bridges, who's in one of my favorite bad movies, which is 1976's, I think it's either King Kong or Kong, where he's with this, I forget the lady's name. That was a fantastic film. You can find it probably on BitChute and Odyssey. You can find it anywhere online. It was just a fun vibe movie for 1776, with a lot of very good 1976. Sorry, I have that book in my head. Kind of a fun vibe movie because it had a great supporting cast. Anyway, so some people were accusing, some women, I guess, were accusing Jared Leto or Leto. I'm thinking of Dune or something, of being some sort of Weinstein type of guy. Who knows? But the thing is, that's the reason why some left wingers were boycotting the movie. It's just not worth watching even for free, unless you're like. Thing is, even if you're into Tron, which is kind of hard, it's a game. It's hard to be that into, and the movies are. The original movie did so well in '82 because for '82 it was really technologically advanced. I mean, it was like just a lot of blacklight, but it was so novel that it did well, and Jeff Bridges carried the movie pretty well. And then Tron Legacy continued that family vibe, and with massively increased CGI, and it looked fantastic, and it had kind of a. They're trying to go for like a Blade Runner Matrix vibe, and they kind of came close. And it's like, okay, you're into Tron, so you see the first two movies because they make sense. But Tron Ares didn't, like, you had these two main characters who were not connected to the original film. You had some Chinese lady and some tech bros going back and forth with each other. None of that made sense. It was just like kind of a vague allusion to, I don't know, I guess Elon Musk or something, and like it felt very topical, but it also wasn't Tron. It had no connection to it. It was just felt like some reason to shove this Jared Leto character in, and then you have him teamed up with the chick, and there's no sexual tension, there's no nothing between them. They're just none of it made sense. It was like Disney Star Wars, where you have the who's that, Rose Tico, the ugly woman, and Finn teamed up for some reason, which, obviously there's race mixing, flirting from Disney, which the audience is not into. But you set them up for some sort of romance, and then you abandon that storyline. Absolutely bizarre. At least they were young enough at the time to have it make sense. Though using somebody so unattractive doesn't really make sense. But in this movie, they have the two characters together, and it's like, why wouldn't you at least make her younger, hotter, and of the same race of whatever Jared Leto is? So it, like, there's the possibility there. It's like a 42-year-old Chinese lady who's like a tech girl. Doesn't make sense. It's like the anti-life equation from Disney, because the lizard people who run Disney, and they are fucking lizard people. It's just. What was that V TV show where they pull off the skin, and then you see the scales? It's like that. That is Disney. Like these are cultural Bolshevism, right? Social engineering from the Marxists. When I say that, I'm not like being hyperbolic or tinfoil hat. The reason they make these movies that are willing to lose money on is because they're social engineering, and they're lizard people who are pushing this globalist narrative that nobody is interested in. And, to make this for YouTube, already with the Indian jokes and mentioning all the different colors and ethnic groups, is probably pushing it as far as it can go. You're talking about Disney and the reptilians and whatnot. If you say that often enough, you'll get a cool little Wikipedia warning on the top of your video. Anyway, maybe I'll do another video for the Odyssey members. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.